This news is coming in from Telangana. A Hyderabad court has struck down the Telangana police attempt to prosecute two journalists under section 111 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. That's a charge reserved for serious organized crimes. Well, journalist Revati, who's the managing director of YouTube news channel Pulse Digital News Network, and Tanvi Yadav, an employee, were arrested earlier this month for allegedly circulating defamatory content against Telangana Chief Minister Revant Reddy. We understand now the Hyderabad High Court has dropped the organized crime charge against the journalist and has also now questioned the cops for flouting rules in this regard. We understand the court has asked the cops to answer in this matter. My colleague Uma Sudhir is also now joining us on the broadcast here. She is getting us more details on this matter. Well, this comes as big relief for the journalists here who were arrested in this case. The charge reserved for serious organized crimes, that is section 111, now has been dropped.
So the remand report, a copy of which is with NDTV, has in fact clearly specified, saying that even though there seem to be the charges under the Information Technology Act as well as other sections of the BNS which relate to creating and circulating false information, all of that may be well-founded charges, but they are saying that under section 111 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, as part of which we talk about organized crime and monetary transactions or payment of money for this kind of propaganda, that does not seem to apply, is what the court has said categorically. And they have also asked the investigating officer in this particular case, they have given in fact a show cause notice saying that within 3 days he must answer on the irregularities in the intimation of the arrest, as well as the policeman going without uniform to the residence of Revati and Tanvi Yadav to arrest them. So that of course happened 3 days ago, and today the police is expected to give the show cause report, answer the show cause report to the court itself. This comes at a time when both Revati and Tanvi Yadav are looking to get bail, and the police, we understand, is looking to get custody of these journalists who were arrested for allegedly amplifying comments that were said to be derogatory of the Chief Minister.
All right. Will the two journalists will be able to get bail in this matter or not? That, of course, remains to be seen. We understand now the section linked to organized crime has been dropped now. The court has clearly said that it's not fit at this point in time, at this stage in the matter. All right, Uma, thank you so much for getting us all those details. Supreme Court advocate Mrs. Sumit Chander is also now joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Chander, what do we understand? Thank you so much, first of all, for speaking to NDTV. What do we understand of this case? The court has now dropped the serious charge against the two journalists. Does that mean that the journalists will be able to get bail in this matter now?
See, we have to look at this on other aspects. There are some offences which are bailable offences, some which are non-bailable offences. 111, of course, of the BNS was a life imprisonment which has now been dropped, which was the most serious of the offences in this section. But what were the other ones? Other was section 353, section 352 and section 67 of the IT Act. Now, though the imprisonment prescribed under these three sections are 3 years or 2 years in some, but if you look at it, the section 353 subsection 2 is a non-bailable offence. Similarly, Section 67 IT Act, though it's 3 years, but it's a non-bailable offence. So these are non-bailable prescribed in law. But of course, when you apply for a bail now, courts will consider this while deciding whether to grant or not grant a bail. Bail, of course, these sections being a non-bailable offence, bail does not become a matter of right, but a discretion of the court, which the courts will look into it.
But we also understand the court has also questioned the alleged irregularity or the manner in which the cops had acted in this case, and also said that the cops had made this arrest while they were not in uniform. How do we see that?
See, this is something which was glaringly apparent from the very FIR itself. How can, in fact, that was one of the observations which the High Court made. How can it be possible that, all your offences which were related to a certain complaint with respect to what has been said all going within imprisonment maximum to a period of 3 years or 2 years. And suddenly you put one section of organized crime and try to culminate entire episode into to show that this was some kind of a organized crime and include section 111 of the BNS. That seemed glaringly wrong, and I think that is where the court said, one, how did you bring this into the picture? Was it magnified? And then the way you went without your uniform, the way these journalists were arrested, is it that you're trying to somewhere curb all the journalists the right to freedom of speech? Now those are the aspects the police has now put to question by the court, and they will give their reply in affidavit, and that's where it will be taken up next by the court.
And we also understand the journalist in question here, Revati, had apparently posted a video on her channel that showed an elderly farmer making some derogatory comments or remarks against the chief minister. On that basis, can the police actually arrest a journalist?
If you see, it is not a comment which was recorded by the journalist of a certain farmer which has got them arrested. I think it was more particularly what it appears apparent to it, unless you are able to show an intention behind posting such a video or getting that such a comment. Was that comment also created? Was it concocted? These are the aspects which needs to be considered. Unless that is there, unless a malified intention is shown behind putting such a video online or creating such a video for the first matter, that is the aspects which will finally be able to be take a decision whether the police, what they did, such an arrest, such an offences, such a provisions of BNS Act which have now been laid, were they rightly put or not? It's a quite an investigation that needs to be looked into, and I'm sure the courts will look into it, why such sections have been laid.
Okay. All right. Mr. Chandra, stay on with us. We understand, my colleague Uma Sudhir, who's tracking all these developments on the ground, she's also here with us on the broadcast. She also wants to ask you a question. Uma, go ahead.
You know, the Chief Minister brought this issue up in the Assembly, asking who is a journalist and who is not a journalist. While the same kind of legal and constitutional protection is available to any citizen as it is to a journalist, do you see this as an artificial kind of a division that the Chief Minister is trying to bring about? Because India does talk about, right to freedom of speech, and the freedom of the press is interpreted into that.
It's a very well pointed out question. See, freedom of speech, of course, is a constitutional right given to all the citizens of the country and very much enshrined in the Constitution itself. Now, journalists and journalism per se is always taken to be the fourth pillar of the Constitution. Now, having that kept in mind, if by curbing the speech of the journalist itself, who are actually the fourth pillar, bringing to the notice of the citizens what is the aspects which are going on, what is the view of the people, if the view of the people cannot be put in by a journalist in open forum, how will you spread the information, and how will democracy survive if you try to curb the voice of the journalist itself? Yes, you cannot discriminate. Everybody is first a citizen of the country. But I think being a journalist, even if you're categorizing it, holds a bigger responsible post as compared to a normal citizen. And that responsibility given to a journalist is a very important responsibility, as you are actually, as a journalist, trying to protect the Constitution itself and protect the democracy. Cannot be curbed at all. I'm totally with the journalist on this aspect.
All right. Thank you so much, Uma, and thank you so much, Mr. Chandra, for joining us here on the broadcast and, sharing all those important aspects of this matter here.